If your friend framed you for a crime you didn't commit, would you snitch on them? Or would you take the fall? Because this was a choice I had to make one time. And let me just say, I did not make the right decision. It all started when I went to the mall with my friend. It was supposed to just be a chill Saturday. Me and my friend Harry, who were bored and broke, were trying to think of things to do. And by putting our 3 brain cells together, we landed on going to the mall. This was a place me and Harry went a lot. Not because we like shopping, but because this was always where the pretty girls were and we would try to flirt with them. And by flirting with them, I mean walking by them without making eye contact and hoping that they fall in love with us. So that's what we did. We're just at the mall walking around, but out of nowhere, my friend goes, "Yo, let's pop into this Best Buy real quick. I need some headphones." Now this was a weird thing for Harry to say because, like I said earlier, we were broke. Like to the point where I considered going live online pretending to be an NPC and saying, "Thank you for the rose." So I knew Harry couldn't afford any headphones, but I just assumed he wanted to browse around and not actually buy anything, so I went in there with him. And that is where I messed up. So we're in Best Buy, just browsing around. I'm in the fridge section hoping there's actual food inside it,
cause I'm a big back.
Harry's in the speakers section connecting his phone to the speakers, playing moaning noises. We were just having fun. I didn't think we were actually in the store for any specific reason, but little did I know, Harry had a plan the whole time. Because I had my backpack on that I bring everywhere. It just has the daily essentials in it. Phone charger, snacks, water, LeBron Barbie doll, just the normal stuff. But for some reason, while I was off to the side just looking at some microwaves, my friend must have decided that this was the perfect time to go behind my back and frame me for a crime that should have never happened. Now here's the thing. I didn't see this crime happen. I didn't hear it. I didn't feel it. All I know is, about 10 minutes later, we tried leaving Best Buy. But the moment we walked through that front door, you know what we hear? Beep, beep, beep. The shoplifting alarm goes off. Right when this happened, my first thought wasn't, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." No, I was thinking, oh, these alarms must be malfunctioning, because there was no reason for them to actually go off. I didn't steal anything. I looked over at Harry and saw that he had nothing on him, so it must have just been one big mistake, right? I even laughed because in my head, there was 0% chance that we had done anything wrong. But that laughter stopped real quick when 3 Best Buy employees came sprinting over to us like we just stole the ring from Golem. When the employees got to us, they didn't look mad. They were professional, but they had this look on their face. You know the one I'm talking about? It's that, "Don't move a muscle or we'll treat you like a criminal" look. And then they say, "Excuse me, we need to check your bags. Our system flagged something when you guys tried to walk out." And again, I'm chill about it because in my head, I'm thinking this will be the easiest misunderstanding of all time. I was actually excited for them to look because I knew I was innocent. So I unzip my bag, flip it open confidently for them to look, and boom, sitting right on top, like it had just somehow teleported there, was a brand new computer. Not a computer I brought with me, no. It was a computer from the store that was still in its case, just chilling inside my backpack. My first reaction when seeing it was just confusion. I knew I didn't put that there. So how did it randomly appear? I turned to my friend with the most confused look on my face and said, "Did you put this here?" But when I asked that, he just stood frozen like a statue in a wax museum. No expression, nothing. That was the first weird sign of me. Why would he react like that? I look back at the employees and honestly say, "I have no idea how that got in there." And one of them, this guy with the most serious dad voice ever, goes, "Sir, I'm gonna need you to come with us." So now I'm following the Best Buy employees through the store like I'm being escorted to the electric chair. Meanwhile, my friend, you know, the guy who just potentially committed a felony while using my backpack as a smuggling device, is following behind me, still not saying anything. They bring us through a door labeled "Employees Only," which felt like walking into the back rooms of reality. You don't realize how eerie the inside of a Best Buy can be until you walk into these rooms. The lights are dimmer, the air is colder, and the vibes are just awful. We walked into this tiny room that looked like a mix of a break room, an interrogation room, and the room where the Geek Squad employees go when they don't want to fix your phone. And then one of the employees goes, "You guys sit tight. We've already contacted law enforcement." Wait. Law enforcement? For what? I thought they were just gonna take us back here, make us give the computer back, tell us to not do that again or else, and then let us leave. So why is law enforcement coming over a misunderstanding? At this point, I start sweating. So I turn to my friend and whisper, "Dude, please tell me you know what's going on. Did you actually put this in my backpack? Is it some sort of prank or something?" But once again, he's not giving any answers. I still didn't know what was up with him. But after finding out the whole truth a little bit later, I could not have been more disappointed in him. So I'm pacing back and forth in this Best Buy back room, trying not to have a full-blown mental breakdown next to this vending machine that only sells off-brand sodas. Like, what do you mean do I want some Dr. Bob? Meanwhile, the employees left the room telling us to wait there and that they would be back in a couple minutes. Then one of them comes back in with a printed sheet of paper and says, "Now normally when someone attempts to steal something, you might get a warning or a 6-month ban from the store, but in this case, it's different because the retail price of that laptop is $1,099. Now let me explain why that matters. Stealing something worth under $950 is just a misdemeanor, but over $950, that's grand theft, which means we have to contact law enforcement and let them handle it." This whole situation was getting way too serious, way too fast. I didn't even know what grand theft meant. I just thought that was a video game. So I go, wait, I didn't steal anything though, I promise. Check the cameras. And they go, oh, don't worry. We're pulling the camera footage right now. So I'm thinking, phew, this will prove that I'm innocent and they'll let me go. But when I tell you what I saw in that camera footage, somehow it made the situation 10 times worse. Because they leave us alone for a few minutes while they're reviewing the footage. And I'm just sitting there, spiraling. And my friend tries to say something, but I cut him off before he can and go, dude, we could actually go to jail for this. You realize that, right? Jail. Like we're about to be sleeping in bunk beds and sharing the same toilet. Actually, now that I think about it, jail just sounds like a sleepover with your homies. That don't sound too bad. But still, I didn't want to go. Now that I knew that computer magically just appeared in my bag, I didn't trust anyone or anything, including Harry. Because I started thinking, Harry had to have done this. He knew I wasn't paying attention and he slipped it in my bag. But as I'm going through this in my head, the one question I keep having is, why? So I ask him, Harry, be honest with me. Did you set me up? And he just looks at me, panicked with his eyes wide, and goes, no man, I didn't do that. The security camera footage will prove it. I don't know what happened. I wasn't sure whether to believe him or not. As he's pleading his innocence to me, the employee comes back into the room. We've got the footage. The cops are almost here. You'll be able to review it with them. Oh, great. We get to do a watch along of Casper the Ghost putting a computer in my backpack with the police. Nice. So we sit there in awkward silence with the employees, just waiting around, and then finally, we hear it. A knock on the door. The employees open it up, and 2 cops come walking inside. And when these cops walked in, everything just felt more tense. Like they had that police aura that just makes you scared. One officer was really tall, probably like 6'7". 6'7". Okay. But he had a mustache that screamed, I don't mess around. Like that man definitely had some food saved in there for later. The other cop looked fresh out of college. Like this could have been his first week on the job. They shut the door behind them, and the mustache one says, all right, boys, let's talk about what happened today. We're gonna need you 2 to walk us through exactly what happened. From the moment you came into the store to the moment you tried leaving. Now, before I can say anything, my friend suddenly has the urge to speak now and goes, we were just at the mall. We weren't planning on buying anything. We weren't doing anything wrong. I promise. I just like coming into Best Buy because it has really cool stuff. I promise we didn't do anything wrong. So he's just rambling. And with every new word that's coming out of his mouth, I'm just thinking, dog, I'm going to jail. This man is the worst liar I've ever seen. So while he's yapping, the mustache cop holds his hand up and is like, son, slow down. Then he turns to me and goes, you, backpack guy, what's your version of the story? First of all, backpack guy? I'm pretty sure that nickname is already taken by the one guy that did the floss dance. But regardless, I respond and say, look, officer, I know this sounds dumb, but I promise I had no idea the laptop was even in my backpack. I didn't touch it, I didn't grab it, I didn't put it in there. I never even saw it. The first time I even realized anything was wrong was when the alarm went off and they checked my bag. Mustache cop raises an eyebrow and goes, so how did it get in there then? And when he asks that, I just freeze. Because what was I supposed to say? Telling him that I think my friend did it just felt like snitching when I didn't know the whole truth. But saying I have no idea how it got in there and it just magically appeared is not a believable story. So I needed something. But I wasn't going to snitch on my boy when I didn't know the whole story. So I go, I don't know. I didn't see it happen, but it wasn't me. That's all I know. Mustache cop doesn't react. He just says, all right. Well, we're going to review the footage together and find out the truth. They spin around a dusty little monitor like it's a blockbuster premiere. And no kidding, in that moment, I've never been more nervous to look at a television screen in my life. Not even when I had to watch Teletubbies growing up and I saw that creepy little sun peeking out every time. The footage starts. It shows us walking into Best Buy. Everything looks normal. We're talking, we're laughing. Eventually, it gets to the point where we're in the computer section. And there it is. My friend Harry is holding a box in his hand. You can see me turn around to look at some display and my backpack is on the ground right behind me. The moment I do that, he slips the laptop into my bag like he's some sort of magician. Now here's the part where I almost threw up. In the footage, I turn around right as he's putting it in there. So it looks like I caught him in the act of doing it. Like I saw it happen and was in on it myself. As if this was some sort of elaborate plan we had together. And even worse, there's this moment right after where he says something and I laugh. I'm guessing he said a joke or something, but on camera, it looks real suspicious. Like we're in on this whole thing together. Now when it actually happened, did I see him sneak the computer into my backpack? No. I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't. The footage eventually ends and the cops both look at us, looking for an explanation. I say out loud, I promise it's not what it looks like. But Mustache Cop just has a stone cold look on his face. And then he says, you know lying to a cop is a crime, right? Look, we've seen people play dumb thousands of times. And this footage right here looks like you're playing dumb. I wanted to scream because I knew I was innocent, but all the evidence pointed towards that being not true. So now I'm sitting there watching my life fall apart in 480p resolution, and all I can think about is, how did I end up here? Because why did Harry even put that computer into my backpack and let me leave knowing it was in there? Was he trying to set me up? Or was there a bigger reason that this all happened. And that's when Mustache Cop drops the line that made my soul leave my body. Retail value on this computer is over $1,000. That makes this a felony. A second later, he told us that the punishment for a felony is 2 years in prison. I can't do that. I know what happens to guys like me in there. I would not make it. I'm stuttering. But I wasn't even, I didn't mean to. He holds his hand up again and goes, doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what happened. And then, like we're starring in an episode of Law & Order, Best Buy unit, they tell us to stand up. So we do, and then they say, you guys are under arrest. And they handcuff us. I'd never been handcuffed before, but it felt way worse than I ever imagined. First off, they're really cold and really tight. So to all the freaky people out there that like having handcuffs put on them, I don't know how y'all do it. They walk us through the store like criminals, and every customer is just watching us. Some confused, some entertained. One little kid even goes, Mommy, are they bad guys? And I just wanted to scream, I'm not, it's Harry. But nothing I said was gonna help at this point. When we got outside, they put us in the back of a police car. And as soon as that door closed, it felt real, too real. I turned to my friend, who still hadn't said a word, and just stared at him. My brain was trying to decide whether I should panic, rage at him, or just curl up into a ball and cry. And then finally, he looks at me in the eyes and whispers, I didn't mean for this to happen. So I just said, what do you mean you didn't mean for this to happen? What were you even trying to do in the first place? But then the cop got in the car and we all went quiet. So he drives us to the police station, and now I'm shaking. It's not even that the building is scary, it's just bland. Like it has no soul, and it's meant to be that way. They separate my friend the moment we walk in. And the scariest part about them separating us was I didn't know what story Harry was gonna tell them. What if he made it sound like I was the bad guy? Like I'm sure the moment the officers offered him a Big Mac, he would snitch on me. Now this is when the overthinking officially began. Because for the first time since this whole thing started, I had a second alone to process it all. And the panic started rushing in like the Kool-Aid man running through a wall. Like wait, hold on. If the laptop was in my bag, does that make me the person who actually stole it? Meaning, am I gonna be the one who gets in the most trouble? Because from their perspective, it just looks like I tried walking out of that store with a $1,000 computer in my backpack like it was a Fortnite back bling. They put me in this small room that just had a desk and 2 chairs on it. And I've watched enough TV shows to know this was the interrogation room. It was a table, 2 chairs, a camera in the corner, and this big window that I knew someone was behind watching us. And I'm sure the people behind it were just thinking, yep, that's the one that's gonna cry. So I'm just sitting there alone, trying to keep my cool. I look around for something, anything to distract me. But all I see is this sign on the wall that says, lying to an officer is a felony. Well, that's not good, because I knew the actual truth would just sound like one big lie to them. I don't know if they were trying to scare me with that sign, but it worked. Because the second the officer walks in and sits across from me, my brain goes blank. I couldn't even remember what city we were in. He leans forward and goes, all right, once again, why don't you tell me exactly what happened? And when I say I fumbled the bag, I mean, I fumbled it, because I responded by saying, we were just at the mall and then Best Buy. I sounded like a record player that just got water spilt on it. I couldn't put a coherent sentence together to save my life. The cop squints at me like he's trying to figure out if I'm just dumb or guilty. At this point, I was already thinking about how I was gonna pose in my mugshot so that I looked good in it, because I knew that was where this was heading. But finally, I managed to choke out the whole story. How we were just looking around, how my friend must have just stuck it in my bag without me knowing, and the cop just listens to me, stone-faced, not saying anything at all. He asks me again, slower this time. So you're saying you didn't know the laptop was in your bag? I know he thinks I'm lying, but it's the truth. So I say, yeah, I had no idea. If you look at the footage real closely, you can tell I didn't see him even put it in there. But right after I say that, the officer gives me this weird little smile, like the kind that made me think, oh no, he knows something that I don't. He stands up, leaves, and tells me he'll be back in a second. And this was the moment where I started to genuinely wonder if my friend set me up. Like, okay, if it was an accident, why didn't he say anything to me? Why did he just stand there like a mannequin the entire time? And I started piecing together what I thought happened in my brain. I'm like, wait, what if he's been planning this for weeks? What if he planted the laptop on me so I would get in trouble and he could, I don't know, steal my girlfriend or something? I'm just kidding. We all know I'm just kidding. But anyways, I didn't know what his objective was. And just when I'm about to have a full mental breakdown trying to figure all this out, the door opens again. But this time, 2 officers walk in, and they're holding a printed sheet of paper. They sit down and slide the paper across the table. It's a screenshot from the security footage. I lean in to look at it, and you know what it is? An image of my friend holding the laptop behind me while I'm looking at some headphones. But the catch he's smirking in it, smiling like he just pulled off the heist of the century. I tried getting a couple words out, but they cut me off and go, "We saw this whole video. After reviewing it, it doesn't look too good." What do you mean it doesn't look too good? Bro, I am the victim here. I start stammering like, but I didn't even... The other cop tells me to calm down and that they need to finish talking to my friend before they can make any final decisions. This made me super nervous because, like I said, I couldn't trust Harry anymore. So I didn't know what he was going to tell the cops. I thought they were going to come back with a jumpsuit and be like, "Put this on. You're doing 10 years. 20 minutes pass before they come back in the room and tell me to follow them. We walk down this long hallway and they take me into a different room. When I go inside, I see that Harry's in it. He's sitting there, pale as a ghost. And the energy in the room is tense. Like we're both trying our hardest not to look at each other. One of the officers sits us down and goes, "Okay, we've reviewed the footage and heard both sides. The truth is, the situation could have gone a lot worse. Normally, shoplifting something this expensive is charged as a felony. But given that you're both kids and you both have clean records," my heart's pounding, "and the fact that Best Buy didn't want to press any charges, we've decided to let you off." That cop deserved 5 big booms after that. I flew back in my chair out of excitement like I just got hit with a tranquilizer dart. But then, of course, as we thought we were in the clear, the cop goes, "That doesn't mean there won't be any consequences though. You guys are both banned from that Best Buy for a year. And if anything like this happens again..." But before he could even finish, I go, Nope, never again, officer. I'm never even gonna look at another computer in my life. I'm switching to notebooks, paper only." They walk us out to the lobby, and that's it. We're free. But even after we go outside, there's still one unanswered question. Why did Harry put that computer in my backpack in the first place, and why did he leave it in there when we walked out of the store? Well, finally, now that we knew we weren't in any sort of real danger, he told me that he snuck the computer into there because he wanted to do a magic trick on me. His plan was to magically make a computer appear in my backpack. But after he put it in there, he got distracted by something and literally just forgot that he ever did that. And that's when I realized Harry wasn't evil. He just had the attention span of a fly.